Welcome back to another fun-filled show. I am your host. He is Blanchard, aka Free Blanche, aka Blanchstradamus, aka Blanchy Kruger. Today's show is entitled Please, We Can't Take Anymore. And today's show will be about what we call the Black consciousness, what we call Black history, what we call the Moors, what we call the Hebrew Israelites, what we call the gods and goddesses, what we call the kings and the queens. Hope you all are having a blessed day today. We are going to jump right into it. We are going to jump right into it. And let me say this before I get started. All of this Black consciousness is rooted in fear and hate for white people. The motivation behind Black consciousness is fear and hate of white people. Because you notice there's no Black consciousness outside of America. You go to a country where it's all Black people, go to Africa with a bunch of African countries, it ain't no big consciousness movement. There's no big consciousness movement. There's only a consciousness movement in America. You know why? Because Black folks have it so good. That's why. Black people have it good. There ain't no conscious movement in Australia with the Aborigines. There's only a conscious movement where there's a Western nation, because Black people are protected by the structure that white people have created. Tierra said, Blanche, why didn't you go on Jubilee to debate Amanda Seals? Man, Amanda Seals, hold up. Matter of fact, before I jump into this, I have a clip of ABL talking about what Amanda Seals was doing. And hold on, let me see. I got to do something, but let me find. Here we go. Okay, I want y'all to hear ABL talk about what Amanda Seals was doing on that show. And I tell you all the time, the one thing Black people fear the most is a level playing field. Black people are terrified of a level playing field. Remember that. Anytime the playing field is level, Black folks gonna cut up.
So this is me on the episode of Jubilee, 20 Black conservatives versus 1 Black radical, featuring Amanda Seals. Now, a lot of y'all are asking me, hey, ABL, how was your experience? How was Amanda Seals? All this, that, and the third. First things first, shout out to Jubilee. They're very, very professional. We shot this back in June of this year, 2025 in Los Angeles. So it was a Hollywood style environment, and it was very well choreographed as far as the format. But what was not choreographed was our responses. Whatever you heard came straight from us. There was no coaching from Jubilee at all. And shout out to everybody who I met when I was there. Very, very impressive. That was the highlight for me. Everybody who I met, all the conservatives, because 10 years ago, this wouldn't have been a thing. This many of us on TV getting exposure, it wouldn't have been a thing. And it most certainly was unheard of back in 2002 when I was 18 years old. So shout out to everybody who I met when I was there. Amazing. Now, Amanda Seals, what was my experience like with her? First thing first, let's go back. She was actually a child star on Nickelodeon, if you didn't know, and her moniker back then was Amanda Diva. And when she came into this set, I saw some of the diva energy immediately. First of all, you got a big, huge security guard. I'm 6'3". This guy is way above me, dwarfing me. And she had like a cup of coffee and an iPad for some reason. We could not have our phones, but she had an iPad. I don't understand why, but I saw the diva energy immediately. And her tactic throughout the entire time was, if she got back into a corner and they got a little bit heated with the back and forth, she would threaten to leave. She was doing that at the very beginning. If you saw the clip, she was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. So right then she was trying to set boundaries to say, okay, don't interrupt me, don't cut me off. But she would cut you off and interrupt you and it'd be totally fine. So it was hypocritical. Also, there was a point where she was trying to say, oh, well, since you're an immigrant or the son of immigrants, you can't speak on Black American issues. Meanwhile, her mom is from Grenada. So it was like, you're the exact thing you're trying to say, can't talk about Black American issues, yet here you are talking about Black American issues.
Now, again, the reason why I would not debate somebody like, I don't even like debates because I'm like, what are we even debating? Because we're not going to change each other's minds. But Amanda Seales is very disingenuous. And again, you see how ABL is describing her, that she wanted to control the room and control the narrative. This is how Black people are, though, because Black people are very much communistic. They're communists. And so Amanda Seales comes in and she gets to do things and nobody else can do. She gets to cut you off. You can't cut her off. She gets to interrupt. You can't interrupt her. And then she says, you know what? If you're the son or daughter of an immigrant, you can't speak on Black issues. Meanwhile, Amanda Seales' mother is from Grenada and she brags about it. I remember in 2020, Amanda Seales telling Black people, don't worry about researching policy. Don't worry about going into Biden's past or Kamala's past. Don't worry about any of that. Just vote. But then she says in that same live, she says the people from my country, they're well informed. They know what's going on politically. They're educated. Like she literally told Black Americans to be dumb while people in my country are smart. Anyway, so I know how Amanda Seales is. She is the typical bliggity. She's not going to be, how can I say this? They're not going to be honest. They're not going to have a level playing field debate. They're not going to do it. They're not going to sit there and engage with you and y'all both have the same amount of leverage. They're not going to do it. So when he says she showed up with her security, she showed up with security to intimidate people. That's why she showed up with security, to intimidate people, to make people not want to engage with her. And then when she said, I'll leave, that's Amanda Seales. Again, very narcissistic, very miserable. So, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, what he's describing is what I would picture from her and 99% of Black people. I've been on Revolt TV, same thing. Dude got that he was just lying. How are we on Revolt TV and there's a host and the host is siding with the other guests? I'm the in-studio guest. She's siding with the guy talking via satellite. What we doing? You're supposed to be the host. How is the host not neutral? So again, that's how Black people play ball. They don't like a level playing field. They don't. So anytime the playing field is level, Black folks are going to make the playing field unlevel. They're going to bring up racism. They're going to bring up stuff that you can't argue. What about slavery? What about Jim Crow? What about segregation? Like they bring up stuff you can't really say didn't happen. You can't. So it's just they kill the conversation. I know she was doing that. Somebody said coward. Definitely a coward.
And then back to the whole diva thing. The reason why they probably call her a radical versus a liberal is because she probably requested that. There were certain times where we would say, well, we as conservatives don't do what you guys do over there on the left. I'm not a leftist. I'm not a liberal. It's like, okay, whatever you want to call it. Radical, leftist, liberal, all the same thing.
Now, everybody knows that Amanda Seales is a liberal. She's on the left. Everybody knows this. Anybody bringing up something that happened 60, 70, hundreds of years ago and saying that it's affecting them today is a liberal. It is a leftist. What are we talking about? Right, Brandon. She is a actress. I remember she was on Def Comedy Jam one time, Amanda Diva. She's a fake revolutionary. Really, Amanda Seales' problem is this. she mentioned one time about how she liked white guys. And I think her problem is that she wants to be pro-black as an identity, but she likes white men. And I think that's what's causing her all of her problems, because she doesn't care for black men that much. But she mentioned something about liking white men, and white men not liking her, or white young men not liking her when she was working in the industry, when she was younger. But yeah, but Amanda Seales, I think her biggest problem is being lonely. She's caught in a bit of a conundrum. She's obligatory, but she likes white men. And that's just, that's a problem. And I think she likes white guys that aren't like, I think she actually likes white guys that don't care about being woke. I think she actually likes white guys that drive pickup trucks. I think she likes white guys.
You're talking about guys that are trying to help them. We don't care about that. We care about us here in the US of A. So she wasn't a terrible person. I tried to be nice and have some kind of decent communication with her. I gave her a fist bump at one point. So she wasn't terrible, but just being able to talk to her and having conversations about these kind of things, it was pretty insufferable. But I hope y'all enjoyed it.
Yeah, and again, yeah, she's not bad if y'all ain't talking about nothing serious. What's up, Katie? Today we had a loss in our family. Today we have Katie, the truther. Her father passed away. We want to give her our condolences. I know this is very difficult for her, and I know she documented it on her TikTok channel. I don't remember it right now, but I watched some of the videos, and I can really sympathize and empathize with her losing her father, especially if your father is a decent human being, if he's actually a father. So our condolences go out to Katie. I'm trying to be serious, man. I'm trying to be serious. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at Katie. I'm laughing at somebody got a new food item, conservative Chris. Y'all are out of control, man. But anyway, but listen, y'all, we love Katie, and she says, I think my father was an incredible dad. So I was speaking with someone the other day about how important fathers are. Speaking of fathers, I don't know if Amanda Seales' father's in her life. I don't think he is. And honestly, that's another thing too, is that when children don't, to me, in my opinion, children get the love and nurturing from the mother, where the mother makes the house feel like a home. The mother is a place where the child can go and seek refuge, get told everything's going to be okay. But the father gives the children their identity. The father tells the children who they really are. Where a man has to, it's the same where a man has to go out there and he has to make his name great. That's a man's path, though. This is why you take on the man's last name, because it's identity. So the woman takes the man's last name, and then so do the children. But my point is that that's how important our fathers are, especially great fathers. And so I think Amanda Seales' problem too is that her dad's not in her life, and you can see her suffering from it, and she takes it out on men. And I think that her attraction for white men could possibly be from just seeing more white fathers involved in their children's life. I imagine when she was on set with other children actors, there were more white fathers involved, as far as white parents involved, than there was her and her single mother. I'm just assuming, but I could be wrong. I think that's what it is. But anyway, fathers are very important, and our condolences go out to Katie. I mean, Grenadians are black, but what is black? To me, being black has nothing to do with appearance, skin color. Being black is an ideology. It's a political stance. It's a social position or status. Like, being black doesn't really mean anything because people take on attributes of being black. Like, think about Rachel Dolezal. Think about Kamala Harris. They cosplayed being black and it worked. So that shows you that you don't have to actually be black to be black. Being black is a construct. It's not real. So what is black? Nobody knows. And you ask 10 people what black is, you'll get 10 different answers. I have a book that I may read one day. Not a book, but it's a magazine. This magazine is from 2020, July/August 2020. And it was expensive back then. This magazine cost $7.50 back then. Anyway, look what's on the cover. A dark-skinned supermodel. They say they hate black women with dark skin, but that's a lie. Black woman supermodel on the cover. It's never been the case. Again, it's not your skin color, ladies. It's your attitude. It's your features. There are universally attractive features that people have. For men, it's a strong jawline. These are universal features that are attractive. Big features are not attractive on a woman's face, people. It's just not. Traditionally, smaller facial features for women, bigger anatomy. For men, more square faces, stronger jawlines, and broader shoulders, and maybe some bigger anatomy down there, but you get my point. But again, I don't want to get sidetracked. But anyway, in this magazine, it's just countless people interviewed about what does it mean to be black. In fact, the title is, do you know what it means to be black? Literally. And in this magazine, all these folks are getting asked what it means to be black. And literally every answer is different. Now, most of them centered around the normal obligatory theology of slavery, oppression, and all that. But what it means to be black is just, it's infinite. And not in a good way. Nick say, I love a man with chiseled features. That's funny. And you can tell what folks find attractive. Just look at how they create superheroes. Look at comics. Look how comics are created. Look how they make the women, look how they make the men. And that lets you know right there, there are universal features that are attractive. But anyway, so we love our fathers. And God bless them, and God bless Katie and her family. She will be in our prayers. But anyway, today's title is, Please, We Can't Take Anymore. Neek said, I know I'm pretty because babies smile at me. That's a good indicator. Listen, if you walk around children and they start crying, it's probably because you're ugly. Because children can tell who looks good and who doesn't. I'm sorry. Listen, God gave everybody gifts. God created this life for us and it's balanced. All of y'all can't look good. Everybody can't look ugly, but some of y'all are ugly. But just because you're ugly doesn't mean you can't make up for it in other ways. You might be good athletically. You might be able to sing. You might have a higher IQ. You might be able to do things with the arts. You might be able to, reason better. You might be good in bed. I don't know. So God balances everything out. But if you walk by a child and a child is crying at the sight of you, you're probably ugly. I'm just being honest with you. And I hate to say it like that. But being ugly is not the end of the world because everybody can't be beautiful or gorgeous or handsome. I believe that most people are just average. Most folks just look normal. But if you walk by a child and the child starts crying, you're probably ugly. Thank you, Katie. If you're ugly, at least be nice. See, a lot of y'all, talking to some of you black people, some of y'all black people that have these chips on your shoulder, you don't have the chip because of white people. You looked in the mirror and you said, no way. Or you look at your parent and you said, no way. You look at your family and said, no way. Some people, the whole family looks alike. So that means if everybody's like the grandfather or the grandmother and they're ugly, the whole family's ugly. So imagine what it does to a person to wake up every day and look at ugly people. Imagine a house full of people and the best looking person in the house is the dog. Think about it. People gonna have chips on their shoulder. So I get it. I get it because we're looking at TV, magazines, we're looking at social media, we're looking at all these things, and we see attractive people, but then we go home and everybody in the house is ugly. So, but guess, I get it. But my thing is, like Katie said, if you're going to be ugly, at least be nice. Ugly people win all the time. There are ugly guys that marry beautiful women, ugly women that marry beautiful guys. It's because what's on the inside that counts. It's what's on the inside that counts. Because you can look good and be a horrible person, and you can look ugly and be a great person. In fact, I'm gonna say this: you could be an ugly person, not attractive, but your personality makes you attractive. Like, you ever see somebody like, listen, there have been girls in my life. I'll never forget this one girl, I ain't gonna say her name, but when I look at her, she don't look good. I mean, she looks like a wrestler from the 80s. She looked kind of like Junkyard Dog. But I used to like her. I never told anybody, I never told her, but I liked her because her personality was so awesome. But in the face, she had one goal in the front, but in the face, she was like a wrestler from the 80s, you know. Maybe not Junkyard Dog, but I don't know. The wrestler called the Mechanic. I don't know, but her personality made you look past her face. And what's crazy is other guys where we worked liked her too because of personality. So I'm telling you, ladies, personality will take you further than looks will. To be honest with you. Personality will take you further than looks will. Always have a good personality, always be a good person, and you are going to win. You look at most, I'll venture to say this. I would say that most beautiful women, most beautiful in the world, they aren't married as much as average women are. They're not. Most women that are married are just average women. And they make up for being average by what? Being great women. No, she wasn't Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. No, she was literal WWF 80s wrestler. I ain't gonna say Junkyard Dog, but she was close. She was the mechanic, or she was the, I don't know, the construction worker. She was something, but the face, and she had a goal in the front too. And I promise y'all, her personality was so great. I'm talking about awesome. Well, boy, you had to look at her, but I don't know. Anyway, listen, I don't even care about, honestly, looks don't really matter, because when you care about somebody, you don't care about their looks anyway. So what difference do looks matter? I mean, maybe it might look bad in some pictures, but besides the pictures, I mean, you know, come on. The female version of Mark Henry, yes. Not Undertaker ugly. Female version of Mark Henry, yes. Ain't nothing wrong with being average. Listen, I ain't gonna lie, Silky. I probably would have messed around with her. I was just too, well, I was doing too much anyway, I was doing too much. But I was too, like, I actually kind of liked her. So I was kind of like, you know, when you actually like somebody, you kind of, listen, ladies, if a guy actually likes you, he's kind of more shy with you if he actually not that I'm saying that he just want to sleep with you or he just thinks you look good. I'm talking about if a dude actually likes you, he's going to be kind of like, you know, kind of shy. But I think I was kind of shy with her. I had too much going on in the building anyway, but I was messing with other women in the building. But hey, my point is that I did like her though. And it was an attraction that wasn't physical. Let's continue. Yeah, I think I was I don't know if I wouldn't say I was shallow. I would say I wanted a woman to be attractive. I still do, but I do prefer good personalities though. I do go for personalities. I do go for, the person's spirit, disposition. Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't say I'm shallow, but I don't know. I think we're all a little bit shallow. You talking about Corey talking about Blanche, the vampire slayer. No, it ain't Blanche After Dark. You know, it ain't Blanche After Dark. I'm just sharing, y'all. I was just sharing about being ugly isn't the end of the world. And if the person cares about you, your looks are going to be almost last. But let's continue. Today's title is Please, We Can't Take Any More. We are going to delve into what I call not the conscious community, but the low self-esteem community. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's start with one of our favorites.
What's up in here? You can challenge me on this shit right here. We're gonna put this Moor shit to rest right now, all you black ass Moors. And let me tell you what this thing is about, so you know, because you get ready to get caught up in some bullshit, because the Moors been hollering that shit for years. And they hit a lick out of a damn snake. You can't get out of shit because you a damn Moor. The white man know who the fuck you are. They know you Moors, they know you all types of things. So let me tell you what's going down here. It's a hoax. Now y'all listen to me and listen to me how this shit is going. Any more what's up in this motherfucker? Because your ass is getting ready to go to jail under this terrorism. So you better listen to what the fuck I'm saying. And you better not miss a beat. You better catch this one because the white man gonna catch your ass.
Now imagine all of this conscious talk, but their main antagonist is the white man. Think about all of these black conscious communities, and their main antagonist is the regular, primitive white man. The regular, primitive white man. The one that was on all fours, the one that was, you know, crawling on all fours, just a primitive white man. Think about that. Think about reaching your highest consciousness. Think about opening up your third eye. Thinking about activating your melanin. Thinking about being a nine-ether being. Think about being a Moor Hebrew Israelite. Think about all of these indigenous. Think about being all these things. And your number one antagonist is the same person it was when you were just a Negro. Think about that. Think about the Negro's opposition is the white man. The Moor's opposition is the white man. The conscious Anunnaki God white man. The indigenous white man. The esoteric white. Think about it. No matter what level of consciousness you gain in the black community, your antagonist stays the same. That's how you know that black folks view white people as gods. Because no matter what they do, the white man is still their antagonist. Even when they're gods. They don't fight against even the white gods. They don't fight against Zeus. Think about that. Even when black folks become gods and goddesses, they don't fight against Zeus. They still fight against the white man who is still flesh and blood. It's crazy.
This is what's going on. All that stuff, the Moroccan Treaty, and all the more stuff they're talking about, all that stuff did happen. There was 5 presidents before there was the one, you know, you got your Hanson, the first president of America. All that shit is true. But it's a scheme that's going down with the United States government, and that is this. You go and you get all this shit and you make yourself solve.
All this knowledge, but he can't change the battery in a smoke detector. Think about that. All this knowledge or self-proclaimed knowledge, all this enlightenment, all this understanding, but he can't change the battery in the smoke detector.
you make yourself the Moor, you make yourself all of this here, you go through and you get all these papers and you get all this shit signed and you get all this shit hooked up. And guess what? Homeland Security has the Moors under the terrorist bill, and under the terrorist act, the Moors are one of the first motherfuckers on that bitch. So when you get all signed up with all this shit, they can step to you and say, you are a part of a terrorist organization. Now, I told the people this shit a couple of weeks or a month after 9/11, and I got it on the tape in December. I did one in December. I did a lecture down in Atlanta on December the 22nd, 2001. And I told him, I said, now we just blew this building up in September, and the target group that they're gonna focus on gonna be the Moors. Because they done with the Nation of Islam and all them, they finished. You know, Farrakhan done retired and stuff, so they took them on, you know, it's hard to get a goddamn good bean pie around here. You know that now? Where the fuck the bean pie is at? You know, you at least could get a goddamn good bean pie and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yo. That man said they whooped the Nation of Islam. They finished. Yeah. Yo. Yo.
I got it on the tape in December. I did one in December. I did a lecture down in Atlanta on December the 22nd, 2001. And I told him, I said, now we just blew this building up in September, and the target group that they're gonna focus on gonna be the Moors. Because they done with the Nation of Islam and all them, they finished. You know, Farrakhan done retired and stuff, so they took them on, you know, it's hard to get a goddamn good bean pie around here. You know that now? Where the fuck the bean pie is at? You know, you at least could get a goddamn good bean pie and shit. You know what I'm saying?
He's so mad. He only mad because he's greedy. They said he only mad because he's a tear bean pies up. That's why he mad. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. That was comedy. Now that's comedy. But that was Bobby Hemmett telling the Moors stay on the terrorist list. And listen, Moors, y'all ain't on no terrorist list because y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Dear Moors, y'all ain't on no terrorist list because y'all ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't worry about y'all. Has anybody ever seen a Moorish temple? Has anybody ever seen a Moorish temple in your city? A place where Moors meet and it's on the outside of the building. And I guarantee if it's in your city, it don't look too good. Guarantee. Guarantee you ain't seen one in your city. If you do see it, I guarantee it's gonna look raggedy. I don't think they have any, but they probably have one somewhere. They probably have some somewhere. Let's continue. What is this?
They called her race of people the Moors, and the Moors are and I just saw it again. I was just like, yo, if you erase our history, like most black people, we don't know where we come. We think we came from slaves. We don't know our bloodline.
The two civilizations or the two cultures that are most often obfuscated, obscured, corrupted by Western academics are Egypt and the Moors, for essentially the same reason. White, quote-unquote, supremacist views said we can't allow these people who we know are distinctly African, that we would misname black or Negro. We can't recognize that these are the people that were our tutors.
somebody said that Christians, again, you heard people talking about the Moors, again, the white man's the antagonist. Somebody said Christians aren't really persecuted because JC ain't going to do nothing. No, I'm not a Moor or a Bobby Hemmett follower. Well, David, I'm sorry to inform you, but factually, Christians are persecuted around the world. We can pull the stats up. I know you thought you were saying something, but we can pull these stats up to see how many Christians get killed every year around the world for being Christians. And then we can look up how many Moors, Hebrew Israelites get killed for being what they are, or Nation of Islam followers. But we can factually prove that Christians are actually persecuted. In fact, I'd probably say they're probably the only group that's actually persecuted. Let's look it up so we can educate our good friend here. How many Christians killed a year? Look, I said, how many Christians killed? That thing said in Gaza by the Romans, in Iran, in Pakistan, like they just going on and on. In the Russian revolt, like all I did was type in how many Christians killed, and there's a whole list of people. Let's see. 1 in 7 Christians are persecuted worldwide, including 1 in 5 in Africa and 1 in 7 in Asia. This compared to 1 in 8 worldwide. Let me see. I want to get the yearly stats for you. Here goes the watch list. Okay. 4,476 Christians were killed for faith-related reasons back in 2024, last year. This says something different here. This says 1 in 7 Christians persecuted worldwide, 1 in 5 Christians persecuted in Africa, 2 in 5 Christians persecuted in Asia. More than 380 million Christians face high levels of persecution and discrimination for their faith. 7,679 churches and Christian properties attacked. 4,744 Christians in prison. This is all just 1 year. What I just read is 1 year. So now you got the facts on that, Mr. Davis for mayor. But let's continue. Let's continue.
You mean to tell me that God took his time to make all these different cultures and races and ethnicities and all this type of stuff to tell white people that they can't make it in heaven because of their race? I can throw that God in the trash because I don't want him.
The amount of Neanderthal DNA on Earth is increasing. Many people, including me, white ones, have up to 4% of our DNA that can be traced back to Neanderthals. And since the human population has now passed 8 million people, statistically there is more Neanderthal DNA from people like me who got it in me right now on Earth, because there's so many of us, than there was when Neanderthals actually existed, because their populations were so small. No one knows exactly why Neanderthals died out, but by studying their remains, they found that the males had very compact, muscular bodies. They would wear really interesting clothes, wear jewelry, even put flowers down for their dead. So I think that maybe Neanderthals died out because all the males were, I don't know, gay.
Did you know that in ancient times, the Neanderthals were known as the world's barbarians? The reason is because they were very warlike and animalistic in nature and caused havoc to all the indigenous villages around them. They fought, killed, and burnt all people and villages they ran into. They even roasted the bodies of their victims and ate them. For this reason, all of the indigenous populations during ancient times sought to capture and exile the barbarians thousands of miles away to keep them from destroying their civilizations. The ancient
What I find funny is that they'll pick a video of a white person eating some raw meat, but we see thousands of videos of people in Africa eating everything, even each other. They'll show you a few videos of white people eating raw meat, but then we can go to Africa and see Africans eating everything, including each other.
Black historians of the Greeks, Romans, Chinese, Moors, and others all wrote about driving away the Neanderthals, known back then as barbarians, to caves of the Caucasus Mountains.
The white man that you see terrorizing the world today, he was in the caves of Europe. Didn't know how to cook his food, didn't know how to bury his dead.
You ain't never seen a black caveman. Period. I don't give a what history book you want to look into. I don't give a what research you want to do. We come from civilization, right?
Yeah.
We are the makers, the owners, the kings of the planet, the father of civilization, and gods of the universe. And there ain't no argument about that. So when you do the research and you find out we ain't never lived in no cave, but the only history that is our origin is we come from the richest parts of the planet. Our nature coincides with being the fathers and the gods of this planet that exists.
For a long time, it was held that the Neanderthals were stupid, primitive subhumans, shambling, lacking symbolism. Turns out that that's not true at all. The latest scientific evidence on the Neanderthals is that they were symbolic creatures, that they did do art, that they were in every sense human, and they were in every sense human because anatomically modern humans interbred with Neanderthals. You can't interbreed with another species. They clearly were human beings, but they looked rather different from us, and that's why certain populations in the world today still have 3 to 5% of Neanderthal DNA.
You see, let me tell you about this great deception. Now that we are...
Okay. So my question for everybody listening to me right now, my detractors, if the white people were living in caves and they were primitive, how were they able to take down mighty civilizations that were ruled by gods and goddesses and kings and queens? I keep asking this question and you all never answer me. So I'm asking it again. How did these people come from the caves eating raw meat with no civilization? They didn't know how to bury their dead. They weren't clean. They were just animals. They were savage. How did that group of people defeat people that were literally walking gods and goddesses on the earth with civilization, with a language, with everything? How? Can somebody please explain it to me? I want you to think about how they're describing Neanderthals, i.e. white people, how they're saying how they're so primitive and barbaric and savage, they didn't know anything. Then my question is, how were they able to defeat the mighty kings and queens? How were they able to not just defeat black people, but enslave them? Because you all are saying that these people, these Neanderthals, have been able to oppress you for what we know in this modern era is 400 years. So we got to say it went back further than that. So let's just say, for argument's sake, y'all have been oppressed by white people for 1,000 years. But you're saying that they're savage animals that don't know how to do anything, but yet you're under their subjection. It doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense.
Tracing the Caucasians back to their ancestry, the Neanderthals. They're now trying to glorify and make them appear intelligent, human-like, and are humane, knowing full well that these are the same barbarians who terrorized the world in ancient times and still do so today. These are the same Neanderthals who lived in the Caucasus Mountains. In case you're not familiar with this area, the Caucasus Mountains is an ancient mountain system in Central Asia between the Black Sea and Caspian Sea, where mountains ascend over 18,000 feet. This is where the ancient black nations used to force the barbarians to go, starting with the Greeks to prevent barbarians from escaping.
So look to the story now. So now they want you to believe that the same people that conquered them out of the caves were the same people they put in jail. And so in other words, black folks made white people go to the caves and live. Black people made white people, the Neanderthals, go to the caves and live. Listen to this. Black people, the same Neanderthals that conquered the world, they were able to make them stay in the mountains.
It is said that Alexander the Great used gates to close up the mountains so that the barbarians could not enter in the civilized world.
This girl said Alexander the Great put some gates up to keep. Alexander the Great put some gates up so that the Neanderthals could not get out of the mountains. But the mountains go from the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea. So my question is, did Napoleon, or excuse me, did Alexander the Great put up gates that stretched that far? All the way around? Did Alexander the Great put up gates that stretched all the way around the mountains from the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea?
It is also said that the barbarians dwelt behind these walls in the caves and hills of the Caucasus Mountains for almost 1,000 years, and this is where we get the story of the caveman. Then sometime in the 3rd century, after their population had grown to hundreds of thousands of people, they forced...
Oh, so now y'all are saying that you all are taking credit for them. Listen, black people are narcissists. Now you're saying that the reason why they were in the caves is because black people put them in the caves. So originally, they were not in the caves. So what you're saying is originally, they didn't come from caves. Where'd they come from? You're saying that black people put the white people in the caves. Okay. Before they were in the caves, what were they doing? Because it sounded like they was terrorizing y'all. That's what it sounded. It sounded like they was terrorizing you all. Okay, let's continue.
begin to venture out of the mountains and enter back into civilization. According to Dr. Windsor, in his book From Babylon to Timbuktu, the white races began near the Caucasus Mountains and spread in northwest and northeast into Europe and Asiatic Russia. This is also confirmed by historians. What they don't want us to know is that modern whites in Europe have nothing to do with the ancient people of Europe. They are migrants from Central Asia in the current era. Since the origin of barbarians is the Caucasus Mountains of Central Asia, they later in history became known as Caucasians, and this is how the evolution of the white race got started. However, when they first arrived on the scene from the Caucasus, they were not called Caucasians, they were called barbarians by the Europeans. These barbarians began to branch out into Europe, establishing their own names, and later became known by their tribal names, the Huns, Vandals, Goths, Franks, and Saxons. And these are the same barbarians that the so-called black people, the Israelites, love and want to save today, the descendants of the Neanderthals.
You mean to tell me that God took his time to make all these different cultures and races and ethnicities and all this type of stuff to tell white people that they can't make it in heaven because of their race? I can throw that God in the trash because I don't want him.
She said that Yah didn't create them. Hold on.
According to a recent study published in the Molecular Biology and Evolution, scientists have concluded that all non-African people have a percentage of Neanderthal in them. Neanderthal DNA is found in most races of people, especially Caucasians, except for people of African descent. This was also backed up by the international team of researchers, concluding that modern DNA research confirms that white people and other non-black races descend from Neanderthals.
You mean to tell me that God took his time to make all these different cultures and races and ethnicities and all this type of stuff to tell white people that they can't make it in heaven because of their race? I can throw that God in the trash because I don't want him.
Again, the sole motivation of Black consciousness and Black history is an inferiority complex towards white people. That's it. This entire movement is based on white people. There is no motivation for Black people without, think about it. What would white people be doing without white people motivating them? Think about that. Okay, look around the world and look at America and ask yourselves, why doesn't the rest of the world mirror what Black folks have done in America? Why doesn't the rest of the world mirror what Black folks have done in America? And we can go ahead and say Europe too for Blacks that are in Europe. If what everybody's saying is true, then we should see what Black folks duplicated in America around the world. Because what you're saying is that white folks oppressed you. So in a place where it was just you all there, it should have been great inventions and creations, great civilizations. Why isn't it though? Oh, let me guess. The white man again? Foreign influence? What is it? Davis for mayor said she's right about whites not being native to Europe. The ancient people were okay, Mr. Mayor. So where did whites come from? Enlighten us. Where did white people come from? Are you welcome, Morgus? You are welcome. Where did white people come from? They're not indigenous to Europe. Okay. Now, on one hand, you all say everybody came from Africa. Then on another hand, you say, except white people. So my question is, where did white people come from? I'm with you, Brando. They must have came from heaven. Because if you all can't explain white people's origin, then they must have been sent from heaven. It must have been God doing it. David says, it's still a mystery to me, but it's not Europe. So he doesn't know where they came from. He just knows it wasn't Europe. Listen, man, when I tell you, I will say this about black people's IQ. In order for this stuff to make sense, you have to have a low IQ. Like if you follow this stuff and you know it's some BS, then I get it. You want to be a part of something, you want to look cool, I get it. You want to, feel good about it, I get it. But to actually believe this stuff with no kind of proof, with no current evidence, your IQ has to be kind of low. Because a simple critical analysis throws all this in the water. Steve-O said there was both races in Europe. I'm trying to figure out that if black people drove white people to the caves to live for 1,000 years, then where were the white people living before? What were they doing? Okay, there's hella old books about black Europeans. There aren't any books without white people being there, though. There's no period where there's just black people in Europe with no white people. That's insanity. Why would black folks be living somewhere so cold? Stop. Y'all can't even swim now. Black folks hate the cold. You mean to tell me that black folks are running around Europe? You're crazy. Black people hate the cold. Kishney said, blacks drove whites out of the Bronx. Right. That's what y'all drive. Y'all drive white people out of the cities, and then when they leave your city or leave your neighborhood, it goes down. Black people hate the cold, but you want me to believe that black folks was building castles. Ain't no castles built in Africa. There's no castles built in Africa, but you got a whole bunch of castles built in Europe. So why did y'all build castles in Africa? Why did y'all build huts in Africa, but then castles in Europe? You got to make it make sense. I don't believe all people are from Africa. If I believe that, I would have to be a descendant from a monkey and all that Darwinism nonsense. Well, you just might be. I don't know. All I know is that if I look at the tail of the tape, if I look at the receipts, you all claim that white folks been here for 6,000 years. Think about what white folks have done in 6,000 years. Think about this. You all say that white people are Neanderthals and they're only 6,000 years old. If that's true, and let's say for argument's sake that is true, look at what white people have done in 6,000 years. Could you imagine what they would have done in 100,000 years? Y'all claim to have been here for trillions of years, and y'all are still eating monkeys in Africa. Y'all are still walking around naked in Africa, and y'all claim to have been here for trillions of years. White folks been here for 6,000 years, and they done created all of this stuff. White folks went from the caves to us having literal computers in our hands that we talk on. White people went from the caves to creating literal computers that we talk on every day. When y'all get together, the crime rates go up and the credit scores go down. When white folks get together, inventions get made. Technology increases. Advancements in everything. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy how y'all say white folks are so nasty, but we got a whole department of the government that's dedicated to stuff being sanitary. Meanwhile, when I go to y'all countries, ain't no board of health in y'all countries. Ain't no score on the building to say the food is we prepare. It's 100% up here. It's an 80 or not. Y'all ain't got that. White folks got that. White folks got checks and balances. Y'all ain't got that. So I'm trying to figure out, how did white people do all of this stuff in 6,000 years? Deloitte said black people invented spades and rolling dice. But black people only invented them games based on what white folks are already doing. If you look at it, if you get a deck of cards, look at the cards. That's all white folks stuff. If you look at a deck of cards, that is all white people stuff. And Kishni said, go to Lee Street. Y'all might not know about Lee Street. That's in the West End. Go to Lee Street, y'all, and see what black folks got. He ain't lying. That's black excellence right there. David says, white folks ain't our problem. It's the original black Christian Luciferians who started the Christian church and lost black people spreading Christianity, Muslim Moorish science, and all that religion. So David, so what should we be following? You got a whole chat full of people that are lost. What should we be following, D. Davis? What should we enlighten us, oh enlightened one, oh wise one? What should we be following, D. Davis? I'm curious. What should we be following?
Of the Moors.
But the Old Testament talks about the Messiah, though. Listen, the problem with you Old Testament Bible thumpers is that y'all don't understand that the Messiah is in the Old Testament. So y'all keep trying to exclude Christ out of the equation, and Christ is literally in the Old Testament in many verses. Prophesied, foreshadowed, everything in many verses. So I'm trying to figure out, how are y'all excluding Christ out of the equation? I just don't understand it. In all of my years, I have never met a person that focused on the Old Testament that was a good person. Never. We should be focusing on the whole Bible, not one half of the Bible. Because I guarantee, focusing on one half of that Bible, one half of the Bible is 100% with Satan. You talk about Luciferian, a half of the Bible is all of Satan. I've never met a person that focused on the Old Testament that, first of all, knew anything about scripture, but it never was a good person.
Plan of the Moors was to civilize a semi-barbaric people, or make a people that's halfway civilized, so we can be the benefit of this particular information once we come and get set up in America, which is also prophesied in the Greek story, Jason and the Argonauts.
Patrick Davis said Jesus is all over the Old Testament if you know how to see him in the language. Listen, one thing I know about an Old Testament person is that their understanding of scripture is very carnal. It's a very surface level carnal existence, because they said the Bible will tell you if you're in violation of one law, you're in violation of all the laws. There is nobody that can keep all the laws. Nobody can do it. That's why the law was fulfilled through Christ. You had to be perfect to fulfill the law. So the fact these folks are running around trying to fulfill all the laws is insanity, because you can't do it. But let's start over. Thank you, stimulated students. The New Testament is the explanation and fulfillment of the Old Testament scriptures. It's not either or, it's the same book.
Plan of the Moors was to civilize a semi-barbaric people, or make a people that's halfway.
Now, one thing you'll always be able to do is you'll always be able to spot a liar. Listen what he said now. Listen what Davis just said. And tell me if he's telling the truth or a bold-faced lie. Jesus Christ said, don't worry about the law. Proverbs said the law is the light. I rock with the wisest man that ever lived. Listen to what he just said. He said that Jesus said, don't worry about the law. So we know he's lying. He just told a lie. Well, I ain't got to talk to him no more. We got to pray for him now. Because once you lie, you lose credibility.
Plan of the Moors was to civilize a semi-barbaric people, or make a people that's halfway civilized, so we can be the benefit of this particular information once we come and get set up in America, which is also prophesied in the Greek story, Jason and the Argonauts, which this story, the guy Apollonius was the curator or the director of the Library of Alexandria.
It's funny how they bounce back and forth between what white people have said and what they make and what they've made up. It's funny how they're able to bounce, like they're able to just pick and piecemeal what white folks have said they agree with, and then sit on everything else they think. It's just funny how they do that. He's over here in Greek mythology, and then back over here with the more science. Then back to Greek mythology, then back they just. But again, it all stems from fear, hatred, and envy of white people. That's all it stems from.
Then all of a sudden, this story, Jason of the Argonaut, was killed to the ends of the earth at a land called Caucasus to get the golden fleece, which is a lamb's wool in Christ with the lamb's wool. A woolen fleece is called the woolen fleece or the golden fleece. And when you translate all that, it means melanin. And it also means the Christ.
So the golden fleece means when you it was funny how he did it. He said when you translate all of that, he's not gonna tell you how to translate it though. But when you translate all of that, it means melanin and it means the Christ. Listen, when I tell you these folks have been running a racket on black people, and this stuff only works because black people have such low self-esteem. They just feel so bad, like they just look at themselves and they're constantly trying to prove that they worth something. But I say, take that energy and prove it to God. Don't prove it to man, prove it to God.
So shall the sun, as the sun rises in the east, so shall the Son of Man rise in the west, which is the Christ. The Son of Man is the Son in man. The hidden Son, which is the Manifestation of the crystallization of melanin.
The crystallization of melanin. Who have you ever seen crystallized melanin? Who have you ever seen with their third eye opened? Who have you ever seen tap into their pineal gland? Who have you ever seen do this stuff? You've never seen anybody do it. You hear folks talking about it. You hear folks telling you how to achieve it, but you've never seen anybody actually do it. You know why? Because it's cap. That's why. Because it's cap. That's why. Who have you all seen with crystallized melanin? What does crystallized melanin even look like? It doesn't matter, because one of you bliggities will create an AI video and you will show somebody's body crystallizing. With a bunch of black folks in the comment, man, I can't wait till that day. I can't wait till we crystallize. So the student said, Bruce Leroy with the glow. Bruce Leroy with the glow. When you got that glow, when you gonna let go, when you got that glow. Oh my goodness. Let's continue.
Who the hell are you? Would you change all the locks in my house? It sits on ancestral grounds. It's our birthright. And everything built on top of it belongs to us. You know what? I'm gonna call the damn police. The Great Seal Moors recognize no human authority. Now remove yourself from my porch or be buried underneath.
She wants peace too.
That's cool and all. Where the fuck?
So 50 Cent done put the Moors in the BMF show. They got the Moors in the BMF show.
You're asking too many questions. Come this way. My cuz want to be down with y'all movement. Sister Jamila L said bring him by. Happy?
Queen just had to put her crown on.
Mm-hmm.
This man just said a queen just had to put her crown on him. They wouldn't let this girl pass until she covered her hair up, like these folks is that righteous. Listen, it's all a show. It's all for show. One thing you're going to find about the conscious community, about the Muslims, about really all these religions, they're all of them. They're very showy. Like it's very carnal. It's what you do, what you wear, what you show to the world. It's very much showy. It's not really an internal transformation. It's not. You'll see that with the Moors, Hebrew Israelites, people like Davis for mayor. Like these people, it's a bunch of showy. Okay, let me show you I can be righteous. Let me do this. Let me do that. It's not real though. It's not real.
Let's go.
When we found you, half your population was dying and riddled with disease. We cleaned you up, gave you sewer systems, algebra, damn near built the backbone of your society. And now you have the gall to demand we follow your law. See, as a man thinketh, he becomes.
So even listen to the speech here. He's saying that we taught the white man everything, but now the white man's ruling over us. I want this to sink in. If you listen to any Hebrew Israelite, matter of fact, I'm gonna say it like this: most 99% of the world, when they get on the soapbox, they're gonna blame white people. 99% of the world, when they get on their soapbox, they're going to point back to white people. Imagine you trying to lecture white people about what you taught them as you're crying about being oppressed by them. It is just the most backwards, nonsensical thinking that we could ever imagine. And the only way it works is if you look at yourself as a victim. That's the only way this stuff makes sense. If you say, I am a victim.
Choose to remain ensnared by society's chains, conform to Daddy America's rules, and all you'll end up is both broke and broke.
This shit ain't making no sense. So you telling me the crew pushing dropping bodies over is a Moorish science temple?
Not exactly. That group is all about peace, truth, and justice.
Lies. Lies. Peace, truth, and justice. Cap.
This group is on some whole other shit.
Many of the people involved in the drug ring claim to be members of a religious sect known as the Moorish Science Temple.
The Great Seal Moors gave the OG Moorish Science Temple a bad rap.
Boy, 50 Cent depicted them right. Y'all in there selling dope, killing people. Right, Neat, but they smoking each other over dope. Right. Thank you, 50. Thank you, 50. Let's continue. Let's continue. Let's get to some Moors. Let me play my boy real quick.
While working with the human being race that helped civilize them, the Moors were put under a spell. The spell was made by the Arcturian race. The Arcturians are an advanced group of extraterrestrials who are profound in making spells. The Arcturian species are the ones who created the time spell that we now live in that makes motherfuckers age. The Arcturian race. The Pleiadians and Draconians went to get the fucking Arcturians to help out. That's how bad we was fucking them up. Like, they couldn't do shit with us. Remember, we weren't just fighting against the humans. We was fighting against the human beings, the Pleiadians, and the Draconian reptilians. Alright? So, the Arcturians conquered up a spell, gave it to one of the human beings. The human being did exactly what the Arcturian told her to do. She asked one of the Moors, could she make him something to drink? While he was working, Bill was showing something. He said, yeah. She gave him a drink. And she didn't just do that to him. She then proceeded to do this to all the Moors that was working with the humans. And this was done over a period of time, a little bit over a few months. What she gave them was potencies to break down their energetic fields to make them easier to control from these spells that will later be cast by these Arcturians. And it worked.
And again, the reason why this stuff is so appealing to Black people is because Black people, they don't have an identity. And they have an identity, they just don't want it. They don't want to be American. And so they've been fighting this entire time to not be American, when in actuality, the best place for a Black person to be is in America. That is statistically true. It's factually true. Data backs it up. The best place for a Black person to be in the world is America. And Black folks are fighting tooth and nail to not be American. You know why? Because they hate, fear, and envy the white man. That's all it is. It's just an emotional crusade to try to prove to the white man that you are just as good as him, if not better. This man just said that black folks was fighting against the aliens, fighting against the Moors, fighting against just. But your children can't read, write, or do math on grade level.
Meet former pimp Stacy Allen Smith, also known as Pimping Bilbo, and Bishop Magic Wand, who is now a pastor of a church. First things first, tell me, and for our audience, what is a pimp? What does he do?
Well, my job as a pimp was to be considered the female everything. You know, most.
So I went to this one page and it says the Mac. So the Moors say they were the first to pimp too. This says the Moors are the first pimps. So they take credit in this with the Moors being the first pimps.
Most of the time, young ladies that are looking for love, they're looking for somebody that's concerned about them to be able to take care of them. And this is what a pimp do. He uses women on the street so that they can fulfill his needs materially and however he want to, you know, their desire to be. Bilbo, he understands because when I first became the #1 pimp in Chicago, he was one of the presenters at the Pimp of the Year ball, and he presented me with the award.
Now, pimp, bear with me. I'm trying to be objective here. What do you mean pimp of the year? This is.
Well, see, this is an annual thing that takes place within the inner city or within the pimp, the players, the
So within the
hustlers.
community, it's recognized. Okay, let's get back to what the pimp does now. As I understand it, then you have.
It's only recognized in the community. It's not recognized outside of black culture. It's not. I found this clip because this guy does a series on how the Moors started pimping.
A stable of women, okay? These women are prostitutes. You send these women out to hotels, on the streets, wherever you send them. They perform their acts of prostitution. They get the money, and they come back to you, and you take all their money. In exchange for what?
Well, exchange for being their everything, fulfilling their every desire, fulfilling the needs in their life. I mean, what a pimp do is, a pimp is the overseer of the female. I mean, she's there to fulfill his needs and do his bidding.
What does she do for you?
Stand on the corner, sell her body so that I could receive the finances to do whatever it is that I wanted to do. This was my job as a pimp, you know, to receive her money. And her job was to stand on the corner and fulfill my desire by getting the money and bringing it home to me.
Does any of this strike you as wrong? There's something when your judgment day comes that all of a sudden someone's going to look at you and say, you know what, that wasn't the best thing to do on earth to make a living.
I'm wearing these dark glasses, not because I'm ashamed of me. I'm 67 years old. But my version of it is, I've seen a lot of people out there old enough to realize the original Coca-Cola ball, the little small one. To me, that was the best. So as the generation passed on, different things. Now, my version of a pimp is altogether different. To me, a pimpin' is a person who teaches, brings the best out in the worst of female and teach her that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
What are you teaching them with all due respect? You're teaching a woman to go out and sell her body and give me your money?
Mr. Jeremy, you elevate. That's the grammar school basis where I'm concerned. You don't give away nothing that's good enough to sell. She hungry, she ain't got nothing, so make one step, grammar school, kindergarten, step up, let me elevate you into something else. Every woman I ever had is living in the suburbs now.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're taking women that are stone broke, they're down on their luck, they have nothing.
Well, more or less to motivate them. You know, women's already out that be involved in different sexual activities, so now they're getting paid for. He'll motivate them to know to get paid
If
for
you
them.
say you care for these women, do you beat them?
But you can't.
I want you to think about how much of Bishop Don Juan is celebrated. Think about how pimping and prostitution is celebrated in the black community. It's celebrated. Matter of fact, Tell me what social ill that's not celebrated in the black community. What social ill is it? The drug user is celebrated. The drug seller is celebrated. The criminal is celebrated. The gang member is celebrated. The murderer is celebrated. The sexual abuser is celebrated. Like, what ill in society isn't celebrated in the black community? Somebody asked me a question. Somebody said, do you like Muslims? Listen, I love everybody. Do I like Muslims? I don't think I like most people, but I love everybody.
You've hit women, haven't you? You hit your women, don't you?
Only to shock them back to reality. You
Let that be a lesson.
Listen, man. Listen, Kishni. I remember being in my early 20s, and I remember being like you, being fascinated with pimping. My uncle, God rest his soul, I'll just leave. But anyway, but he was in the game back in the day. He used to tell me stories about, you know, pimping in the Bay Area. He used to say that, he said his number one, he used to say that he said the Black Panthers, the Nation of Islam, he said they all requested white women. The reason why the white woman was so coveted, there was a time period in history where the number one slave to have globally was the white woman. She was number one. And it's funny, we talk about pimping back in the day, maybe even today, that the number one commodity was a white woman. And he told me, he used to say that, man, Nation of Islam, Black Panthers, anybody on that revolution talk, he said when they came to me, they wanted a white woman. I said, what? He said, all of them pro-black, whatever, because I used to be talking that pro-black stuff. He'd be like, man, they all wanted a white woman. They all wanted. That's why back in the day, the white woman was so coveted in pimping. Everybody wanted her. They didn't want the queens. They didn't want the goddesses. They wanted the old trailer park white girl. Ain't that funny?
You've hit women, haven't you? You hit your women, don't you?
Only to shock them back to reality.
Let that be a lesson. Nobody get away from reality. Wait a second. Go ahead.
See, they call it a pimp whooping. We have a world of our own, just like the gypsies. If you might have made love to a lot of women, but you ain't touched the gypsy yet. So in this field, a layman, I'm to a pimp, you know, any game that you haven't participated in, you are considered a layman, right?
Right.
Y'all do agree with me on that?
Yeah. We're with you so far.
How can anybody tell you about a pimp and they don't even know the origination of him, where he come from, what he here for? He for the unwanted woman. See, I'm gonna say this. You see, God gave everybody a mate. A lot of men are tipping them women's back room and tip outside fast and their pants up real nice and run. So she ain't got nobody want to be seen with her in public. But they give her a mate too. God did that. He gave her the pimp.
Now wait a second.
Let me explain something to you.
Wait a second.
Don't you agree that...
This man just said that God gave the woman the pimp. Now listen now. Ladies, now your weakness, ladies, is your ear gates. The man's weakness is the eye gates. The woman is the ear. Ladies, if you sit around, listen to that conversation long enough, you're going to get trapped. You know, they say the conversation rules the nation. And that's true. You listen, y'all weakness is listening to a man that got some good game. So I tell y'all, women do like this. You get around somebody that's talking too good because he going to get you. That man said God gave everybody a mate. And the unwanted woman's mate is a pimp. Boy, that's cold. Listen. Boy, that's cold. Boy, that's cold.
Mr. Springer, let me say this, please.
Sure.
Don't you agree that she's entitled to life, love, and pursuit of happiness?
Boy, listen. I just saw that video because the guy was saying the Moors was the first pimps. But I want to let me play this video. So I don't want to show y'all all this and not leave y'all with any hope.
I walked up to a complete stranger's door to ask if I could transform their house completely for free, and to be honest with y'all, I couldn't even tell if somebody lived here or not. But when I knocked...
Facially challenged, that is a great word. Thank you, Vintage Goods Willie. We don't have to say ugly anymore. We say facially challenged. Thank you so much, Vintage Goods Willie. Cruise Missile, thank you so much, sir. Always supporting. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Vintage Goods Willie again. Nick, Gur, Knowledge and Inventions. Thank you, Vintage Goods Willie. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But let's end this thing on a positive note.
Today I walked up to a complete stranger's door to ask if I could transform their house completely for free, and to be honest with y'all, I couldn't even tell if somebody lived here or not. But when I knocked on the door, to my surprise, there was this older guy that answered, and this is what he had to say about it.
How's it going, boss?
Hey, how are you?
All right, my name's John.
Yeah, what you need?
I go around, I help people in my community for free.
Yeah.
Upgrade their houses and do things like that.
Yeah.
I seen that you got a lot of overgrowth over here, a little bit wear and tear.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, man, if you could use some help.
I sure could.
Yeah.
I really, right now, I need all kinds of stuff done. I have a friend that's kind of helping me with the house. He's replaced some lumber and stuff and did these posts recently. My neighbor usually does the front yard. He's got a riding mower and he does the front.
Okay.
But the back is completely overgrown. It needs a lot of weed eating. It needs a lot of stuff done.
I got you. I mean, I could come up tomorrow, man, get it all cut up for you. I usually stay for quite a while, though, because I like to do a lot of projects, and just to kind of help you restore it to its original glory.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't expect you to do anything for free.
I do everything is on me, bro. Every single thing.
You're going to turn me back into a religious man. I lost my religion, but you're going to make me become a religious man.
God is real, bro. God is real.
Well, yeah, I don't know what to say, man.
Only thing you got to say is yes.
Yes, sir. If you need anything, some water or anything like that, let me know. If I have some food cooked, you're welcome to that, too.
I appreciate it, Ty.
All right, man.
Yes,
you
sir.
Have a good evening.
All right, man.
Thank you.
I'm going to make it look nice for you.
Now, walking back to...
You see, you all's problem is that you don't think beyond yourself. This has been the greatest handicap with Black people culturally, is that you all are so narcissistic and focused on yourself that you can't see the forest through the trees. You can't be a blessing. The Bible says that we are blessed to be a blessing. You all don't believe that because you all believe that you blessing someone is contingent upon who you like, what they look like, who they are, what's their status. This is the greatest hindrance in the Black community, is that Black people don't know how to be of service, because Black people have made being of service as something that's bad. Where the devil has infected Black people's minds. This is what is holding Black people back, is that Black folks don't think beyond their skin color. They don't see beyond themselves. It is a very self-worship, self-centered culture. Been totally infected by Satan. Totally. Y'all have bastardized everything, from the Bible to religion to the way we interact. Everything in the Black community has been totally destroyed. It is utter chaos. And it is exactly what the devil wanted. This man goes around and he helps people with his gift, regardless of what color they are, regardless if they deserve it or not, regardless if they're good or not. He just does it because it's the right thing to do. This is what's going to make your name great, Black people. All of you all's greatness has not come from God. It hasn't. It's come from Satan. How do we know this? because you all have flourished and thrived in a system that is ran by Satan. It's been communists backing you. It's been globalists backing you. It's been Marxists backing you. It's been socialists backing you. It's been every wicked entity backing you all. It hasn't been God. If it was God, you all would have changed this on the inside, but you haven't. You've achieved all of this influence, all this prominence, and all this greatness, but you're suffering doing it. You know why? It's not godly. It's not righteous. This is how your name gets made great in heaven, by being of service. This is where the folks in the Old Testament don't understand, because everything is based on the law. It's not based on righteous intent. It's not based on righteous intent, which is why it was so hard in the Old Testament to find somebody righteous. Which is why you had an Abraham, which is why you had Moses, which is why you look at David, look at Solomon. This man said that Solomon was the wisest man in the book, but guess what? How wicked was Solomon? Solomon was putting up the false idols and making the people in the city look up and have to see them false idols. And one of them idols was Baal. And we know what Baal wanted. Baal was in the child sacrifice. They don't tell you this stuff about Solomon. Solomon was the richest. He was the wisest. That's the carnal part of the lesson. That's the carnal part of the lesson. Solomon prayed for wisdom, but he didn't pray for character. You know why? Because character, what you got to build on your own. You see, God gave him wisdom. I'm going to give you wisdom, but that character part got to be done on your own. And I'm going to tell you what Solomon was doing. That man said, I ain't going to listen to Jesus. I'm going to listen to Solomon. And we all know that Solomon lost the kingdom because he was wicked. He was wise, but he was wicked. You know why? He didn't have any character. Thank you, stimulated students. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now listen now. Now listen. God always intended for them to keep the law according to faith, not just vain works. It was always a matter of the heart. God looks at the heart of a man. Thank you so much. This is the point. The reason why Abraham was blessed was not because he was Abraham. It was because he had faith. It was because he was a man of faith. We can go all the way back to the garden. Are you gonna trust God, or are you gonna trust the Satan? It's always been a lesson of faith, because the Bible says that it is impossible to please God without faith. So although Solomon may have been wise, he didn't have any faith. God had to visit Solomon twice to tell him to stop. Think about this. Think about God having to visit Solomon twice to get him to stop. That's how bad it was. You can name a few people that God actually visited in the Bible. Let's continue.
To my truck is when I realized that this was going to be more than just a simple house transformation. This was actually going to be something that changed somebody's life. And I really can't even explain the feeling of that to y'all. All I can say is that it's really a blessing for me to be able to do this type of stuff. Now, I don't expect to complete this whole project in just one day. I'm pretty sure that this is going to take us a few weeks to get done. So I hope y'all ready for the journey as we help Tide not just restore his home, but restore his life.
You might have changed my whole life. Hey, man. I'm serious. I want to do what you're doing.
And every week this is going to be filmed in real time, and I'm pretty sure we have much more to learn about Tide and what his house got to hide. So buckle up and get ready to come with me on an amazing journey.
Get to work. Hard work.
This man's name is Uncle John. The Uncle John Show with 2 N's. Uncle John, or I guess he's Uncle John on IG too, Uncle John _. But I saw this video and I couldn't believe it. I said, my goodness, what manner of man is this? And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and it said, this is what's holding black people up, is that black people aren't into service. Black people don't believe in serving. They believe in being worshiped. They believe in being seen. They believe in being heard, but they don't believe in serving. They don't believe in washing somebody's feet. And this is what's holding black people back. Because the lessons they got to learn, they can't. This is why black folks can't master the basics. Black folks can't master the basics of simply being able to coexist in a community. That's it. Just simple basics. Can't do it. Can't do it. So again, all of this esoteric talk, all this Hebrew Israelite talk, all this Old Testament talk, all this Hebrew talk, all this MOOR talk, all this Masonic talk, all this fraternity talk, all this sorority talk, all this nine ether being talk, secret society talk, all of this stuff, all of it is the work of Satan. Because the goal of it is to get you to look at yourself instead of looking at Christ. All of these so-called religions and fraternities and societies and all of this stuff, they all get you to look at yourself. And I said, you know what? Let me be a vessel for Christ. Let me allow God to pour into me so that I can be used. You notice all these Old Testament people, they never talk about helping their fellow man. They never talk about being a blessing. They never talk about anything outside of themselves. It's all what I'm going to do. And I guarantee the white man's still bad. They all going to blame the white man. They all going to blame the white man. They're going to blame the Romans. They're going to blame the Catholics. They're going to blame the Jews. They're going to always blame the white man, but they ain't going to never look in that mirror and say, you know what? It's on me. It's on me. And that's the problem with black folks. And it's hard to have purpose when you're not willing to be of service. God cannot use you unless you are willing to be of service. There is nothing that you're going to do for God that's not going to involve your fellow man and woman. There is nothing that you're going to do for God that's not going to involve your fellow man. So that means if God is truly using you, it's going to be using you to increase the kingdom with people on this earth. All this notion that God is doing something for me to be, no. We are blessed to be a blessing. We are blessed to be a blessing. People talk about, well, we got to bless Israel. You know how you bless Israel? With the word. With the word. You want to bless Israel? With the word. Salvation. Christ the only way. Love your neighbor like you love yourself. If you want to bless them. If you want to bless them. Because ain't no greater blessing than salvation. But this is the plight of black people. They got a tough decision to make. Is their identity going to be rooted in something of this world, or will it be rooted in Christ? Or will it be rooted in Christ? This world or Christ? Title of today's show was, Please, We Can't Take Any More. Thank you, Quay. And listen, y'all, I think my next show, I'm gonna talk about relationships on my next show. But listen, I love y'all, and I will see y'all soon. And we're gonna pray for Davis for mayor. We're gonna pray that he sees the truth. And honestly, let me say this too. I know in my life, there was never a time when God wasn't talking to me. Never. So I got to assume that the way the Holy Spirit was talking to me, it's talking to other people too. A lot of these folks get the same revelations that we get the same talks that we get. Guess what? They just value the world over what God is telling them. That's all. People know. People know. Listen, I love y'all, and I will see y'all on Wednesday or Thursday. Probably Thursday. All right, y'all.